Welcome to the Uncontested Investing Show, presented by REI Inc. magazine and sponsored by RCN Capital. Each week, we focus on bringing you candid convos from the best in the biz. Here's your host, Tim Harridge.
Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm Tim Harridge. Thank you so much for stopping back by this week. Today, I'm here with another one of my mastermind friends, Krzysztof. Krzysztof, thanks for coming in, bud.
Pleasure.
And to say your name properly, Warchol. Warchol.
Warchol.
Warchol. There we go, Warchol. All right, so there you go. Practice at home. Next time you see Krzysztof, say his name right, and he'll know that you were watching this show. So, Krzysztof, just take a minute, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Wow, where to start, huh?
Start wherever you want.
So, I came to US in 1996, right after Olympics. And that's how my journey starts. My grandparents brought me here, and I landed in Chicago.
From?
Poland.
Poland?
Poland. And I landed in Chicago with my family, so I stayed there for about a month or so, and then I was migrated with friends of my grandfather to Atlanta. So I started probably like majority of immigrants working on the framing. Just, hardworking on the sun every day, waking up in the morning, go to work until sundown and just working my way up. So my mindset back then was nowhere near to where it is right now. It was just to come here, explore, maybe make some money, come back to my country and be a man, right? Everybody's dreams.
Right.
In America, right? You're making dollars grows on the trees is what they told me. Yes. So yeah, and that's how it started. And few years later, I end up I migrated again from being on the framing because I didn't kind of agree with working on the framing. It was like way too hard. I ended up being a janitorial. Again, like majority of immigrants, right? A lot of stories that you hear about people ending up as a janitorial. So I did work as a janitor for probably 5 years. And believe it or not, that was probably the hardest work ever. We had no days off. That thing is going 24/7. Stores are open, right? So somebody needs to clean it. And it was for Kroger stores. It was for Target. So 7 days a week, 365. So, no day off. And I was going like that for almost 7 years. And I was able to save enough money by doing that. And I have bought me a business from somebody else. I don't even know how. Oh, I met him in a gym. It was a Korean guy. And he was selling supplements. He was working out in a gym. We kind of head up, talk to each other and this and that. And he was chiropractor. And he said that he want to sell his business for whatever reason. I don't remember the reason right now. But I was like, oh, cool. So, maybe I'm going to get myself a retail store, right? So he trained me. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? I'm going in there, I'm buying a vitamin store, supplements, this and that, and I have no idea about running the business, about supplements, about nothing, right? How the body function with I was like, in my 20s back then.
Yeah.
I forget to say that I came to US when I was 18. My 18th birthday was here in the Chicago.
Wow.
So I was young, no English, literally no English. I couldn't even say that I want to buy bread when I goes to the store. $800 in the pocket. So I bought it. I pay him down payment. I bought the store. I was the man. My first business. And then September 11 happened. And everything crashes. And so I stretched as long as I could with that. And I had to go back to doing what I knew back then to do janitorial, just to keep up, pay the lease, keep up with the bills and stuff like that. And I couldn't do it no more. So I bankrupt. Everything went down, man. I just had to give the keys back to the landlord and say, I'm done. I can't do it no more, right?
Yeah.
Because I was killing myself. It was just me.
Right.
So I was working there during the daytime, then nighttime to make some more money to support my daytime business, So I was like, like this, and the client walked in. I'm like,
Yeah.
So it wasn't life. So I start from zero again. Even less than zero because my car got repossessed, lost everything.
Oh.
So it was tough. And I started working for a limousine business. Don't ask me how that happened again. I become a limousine driver. So, nice suit, tie and stuff. So I was the man again. Well, that doesn't work well because as you're driving limousines, it's great for the image, but not so much for your pocket.
Yeah.
So you don't make that much money as a limousine driver unless somebody really tip you. So that doesn't last long. However, I met a friend who happened to had at that time painting business, and he was ready to go back to the country, to his country, and we were really good friends. And he didn't want to just give the business out let it go. So I was like, why don't I buy it from you? Again, right? Something that I had no idea about.
Right.
Like same with the soul. Like history repeats itself. Only that this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna do things different, right? I mean, I just can't make the history repeat itself. So I bought it, and he taught me for about 2 to 3 months how to paint, and I grew this company to where we are right now. It's been 17 years, and I still have it today. It's been tough, man. It's been tough. So during that time, it was only me working. Gradually, after years, I start hiring, subcontractors and this and that, and getting into more services. 2008 happened. So I went through another recession, right? But I mean, this time I was like, I'm not gonna let anything happen to my business. I was so determined that I'm not gonna lose again everything that I just put it off. I just had to. I mean, the mindset was there. And I actually grew through the recession, believe it or not. I mean, I see companies go left and right, just bankrupt, going out of the business. And I grew because maybe painting wasn't growing so much, but I added the services. So we were doing granite countertops, we were doing sidings, more services, brighter spectrum of clientele, and I survived. So, and then in 2016, I was doing flips for other people, investors. And after probably, 100 sold number of flip, I just sit down and I'm like, So I'm doing everything A to Z for someone, and I'm getting paid literally pennies on the dollar, and they turning around and selling it and making rich by me doing the work for them. So I'm like, something is wrong with the picture. So let me just, flip it around and do it myself. And that's what I did. So again, I knew nothing about that, right?
Right.
Again, new business model, new word for me. So investing, flipping. I thought I knew because, of what can go wrong, right? I mean, I'm flipping this for them. Well, so I bought my first flip, fix and flip. I pay cash. Number one mistake, right? You know how they'll go.
I mean, it's not a mistake, but...
Well, OPM.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I didn't. You don't know what you don't know. So anyway, I bought it since I was coming from the construction background. When I inspected the house, I knew exactly what's going to happen, like A, B, C, D, right? Boom, 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 boom. So I had my own money, cash money, put it on the side for the rehab. I paid for the house cash. I went to the house. I started the rehab. Well, I didn't have a power meter. So I called the Georgia Power to come and install me one. Well, they said, you need to have a city permit for us to install you the meter. So I called the city, and they said, we're going to send you the inspector to see, what's up. Well, inspector came, and he's like, buddy, you need to have everything done. You need to rewire the house. You need to replumb the house. I mean, I was just stung, right? So my rehab costs went from being like what I expected to be 4 times that.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the money.
Right.
So now what? Plus the permits. I wasn't familiar with the permits. And again, I was doing the work for somebody else who already had the permits. They just called me for like, hey, do this, right? So that's when the problem starts. I was doing this rehab for 2.5 years.
Wow.
2.5 years.
So at that point, the painting business is paying you. The same thing. Your profits from here and your hard work from here is just going to pay for this other thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, I was determined not to let it go, right? Coming from the mindset, like you never give up. You just keep on pushing forward. So looking at right now, I mean, I learned the lesson third time in a row. But yeah, so what I did is basically supporting entire rehab little by little from the money that was coming from the painting. As frustrating as it was, that there is something that needed to be done, and I needed to make it happen, right? That was the worst rehab in my life, the best and the worst. It just gives me so much. It teaches me so much. I bought the house in the south side of Atlanta. It was probably back then the worst place to be at. My dump trailer got stolen from the driveway. My house was shot at multiple times. I installed brand new windows. Come back 2 days later, there was bullets in the house. I installed the alarm system. Alarm system keep on went off at least twice a night for a year. I mean, I couldn't sleep. It was just a nightmare. So of course, I keep on running out of the money because that was my first flip. So I wanted to be a baby. I wanted to be like a model, like tile, granite countertops, hardwood floor, everything And even real estate agent, my friend, told me Chris, granite countertops are not for this house. This neighborhood will not support this. I'm like, it don't matter, man. This is me. This is gonna be my house. This is gonna be my business card. This is how I do the business. I just wasn't listening. So I get it wasn't hard money. It was a builder's loan to finish the rehab. They give me money to finish the rehab. So I spent that money. It was still not enough. So now I got a loan to pay, house sitting, all the costs that are associated with the holding the house. And that I went like that for almost another, I will say, a little bit over a year. Don't even go there. My wife didn't knew back then I was getting foreclosure notices on that loan because I just couldn't keep up with anything. So, but long story short, finally I get it done. I get it on the market. My initial exit was to rent it out. I wanted to build a portfolio of the rentals, passive income and all that stuff. For that Robert Kiyosaki, I was all in it. And that didn't work out because of the neighborhood and because, what I did to the house versus what I could have rented for, it just didn't make no sense.
Right.
So my real estate agent said, listen, just sell that out, collect on it, move on. And that's what I did.
So now it's 2018.
19.
So from 2016 to 2019.
Yep.
So the house is worth $100,000 more than you thought it was. No,
actually, yeah. Yes, because I did what I did. And
the neighborhood went through a transition, right?
Correct. So, that was really good point because, I was selling it at the point when everything was rising. So I was like, yes, at least that, right? So I didn't lose on this house. I make some money.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing.
So where are you at now? What all do you do now?
So right now we're syndicating.
Yep. Syndicating single family house?
No. I'm in a multifamily.
Yeah.
And I went through a few masterminds. I hired a few coaches. I wasn't going to do this, all by myself, all over again. So yeah, I'm syndicating multifamilies. Yes.
Yeah. And so you've gone from being a framer
I am
to a janitor,
right,
to a supplement salesman,
yes,
back to a janitor, back to a limousine driver, then to a painter, then to a horrible flipper.
Thank you.
But a determined business owner. What happened in between 2019 and now that got you from single family to multifamily?
Social media. I think social media. Yeah. So I was going to a bunch of seminars, watching what people do, watching how people do, and I was doing a little bit of wholesaling, seller financing, sub-twos. I love sub-twos, right? But it was going slow. So I was like, how people get really rich? How many houses do I need to own to really have, substantial amount of monthly cash flow? And when I did them out, I'm like, holy shit, man. Even if I get 3-4 houses per year, it's going to take me a year to get where I want to be. And somehow I have seen people like, doing multifamily and this and that. And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
They was talking about, versus owning like two houses where you can collect like $300-400 for each house. You multiply this by, 100 units. I was like, wow.
Right.
That's where I'm going.
So one of the segments I like to do is called the bottom line up front. So I want you to take up to 2 minutes and look straight to the camera and just tell the audience, based off your experience, the most important things you think they should be doing, not doing, focused on, avoiding, just kind of in today's market, up to 2 minutes, best advice you got. You ready?
Absolutely.
Go.
All right, so number one thing that I could say to anyone out there, never give up. When you set the goal, when you set the target, just go for it. No matter what, don't listen, especially friends and family that tells you, oh no, don't do this, don't do that, you're not good at it, you don't know nothing about it. Be focused, go for it. So never give up, be determined, consistency. When you decide to do something, you need to be consistent. You need to do small steps, but consistently, going up, like climbing the ladder, right? You're climbing the ladder step by step. You don't miss no steps. Same thing with the business. You need to be consistent. If you don't know something, don't try to research no YouTube and looking online. Hire you a coach. Get some professional advice. Help someone to help you get where you're going. Because you will lose a lot of money. You will. There's no doubt about it. You just don't know what you don't know, and somebody who you pay to help you get where you're going will be much worth it for you than you wasting the time, wasting the money, researching some stuff on the internet and YouTube and social media. And trust me, there's a bunch of it up there. Nothing wrong with it, but if you want to escalate, if you really want to grow, hire you a coach, and don't be a cheap.
So that was great. One of my favorite books when I first got into this business, of course, was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Everybody's.
But also The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller. And it talks about the ladder of success, right? And it's just asinine, in my opinion, how some investors insist on trying to climb their own ladder when you can literally pay someone and skip 5 years worth of headaches and pain. So I think that's great advice. I want to touch a little bit before the first break on immigration. So you're not the first immigrant on the show in 6 months, and it is amazing to me, not amazing, I know all about it. One of the things that the most common threads is that tenacity, right? No, we don't have, we burn the boats, right? There's no going back, right? We're here to succeed. And you said they talked about in America that money grows on trees. Well, it does. They just don't tell you you have to cut it down and take it somewhere to get the money, right? Like, you don't just get to pick the money. You actually have to cut it down and clean it up and then take it somewhere, and then you get the money. But there's an opportunity abounds, right? I mean, you within the first 10 years of being here, you bought 2 businesses, right? Most Americans never buy one. Most of them just get in line and do what they're told. So what advantages do you think you've had over your competition by being an immigrant?
It's a really good question. Nobody ever asked me that.
Oh, good.
Yes, you are. What advantage? I will say that, well, I mean, I'm sure that many people that are born here going through the same thing, just going through that stages in life when you see how hard your parents work to provide for you, right? And when you have a kids, you want to do better. You want to make sure that, right now it's better in Poland, but it wasn't like that. So I knew that my parents did everything they could to provide for me, but they couldn't do way better back then. Now probably they could. So now it's almost like I got this duty, feel the duty inside of me that I have to make sure that by the time they reach certain age and be on their own, they only got that advantage, that jump start, right? Something like they are exposed to what I'm doing every day, and they just learning, right? They listening my conversations, how I talk, how I walk, how I deal with this stuff. Sometimes I cuss in the house, right? I shouldn't, but I mean it happens. they are exposed to the business side of me and everything around. So they are already gaining that advantage, right? They don't see me wake up at 9, going to the job, coming back home miserable, right? Grabbing a beer, watching TV for like whatever, right? They see me coming back and going to the office and doing some grinding and this and that. So I think this is one of the advantages that we just determined to provide better life for our kids than we had. I will say that's number one. Another one is probably because we were immigrants. So I mean, we just wanna, land of opportunity. We didn't have it back in our days.
Right.
So right now when we're in America, we want to use that. So they give us this opportunity. We don't want to just blow it.
And that's a perfect spot to take a break. After I got to meet your wife and kids in Chicago at the pizza party, and it's just so beautiful to see you taking them around with you, showing them the hard work and the fruits of the labor, right? Sharing both sides of it, because ultimately you're showing them even more opportunity than most Americans know is even there. So we're going to take a quick break. More with Krzysztof when we come back. Stick around.
Are you looking for fast funding for your next fix and flip? What about leverage for your next long-term rental or vacation rental? Need capital for a new construction project? Look no further. RCN Capital has you covered. As the leading nationwide lender for real estate investors, RCN Capital offers short-term and long-term financing solutions for your next investment property. RCN Capital takes a common-sense approach to your loan request, offering high leverages and low rates backed by superior customer service. Whether you're investing in single-family properties or multifamily properties across the U.S., RCN Capital has funding options for you with no hoops to jump through and quick closings in as little as 2 weeks. Ready to get a quote for your next investment property? Visit rcncapital.com/podcast to apply today. There is no fee to apply. Again, that's rcncapital.com/podcast to apply today.
Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm still here with Krzysztof. Krzysztof, I want to dive right into real estate and other people's money.
OPM, I love it. I love it.
I know you've used some of my money at a very difficult time in this industry. How, as you look back at that from the first flip to now you're buying multifamily properties, what's the difference? What are you doing differently, and what did you learn that made it what are some things you know now that you wish you'd known then?
Right. OPM, like you just mentioned, use other people's money. So I am not using my money. I got over 437 doors right now that I'm involved in between LP, GP, and JV partnerships. And I just use very little of my own money. So someone can ask, so what are you using your money for, right? I'm spending it on education, I'm paying good coaches to show me what they do, how they did it, how to get from where I was to where I want to be. I invest some, of course. I mean, I'm buying some buy and holds, single family homes. I still have few, because you just refinance a few of them. I'm leveraging a debt, which is another thing that nobody told me before, and it kind of blew my mind how that works. And I'm trying to educate some other people, clients of mine at this point, to do the same. They are leveraging their debt and they coming back invest in my deals, which is beautiful because I'm helping others to go where they want to go. They don't even know that they want to go there.
Right.
I'm just telling them, hey, I know where you want to go. Let me show you.
But it's interesting. You also, and this has been probably my biggest evolution in the last 3 years, is when I started passively investing with other people. And you mentioned that even though you're an active investor and an active syndicator, you also are an LP, which if you're listening and you don't know, it means a limited partner. It means he invested in someone else's deal where they're running it. And the GP part means he's the general partner. And so he's actually has a management type role. I invest in people's deals as a limited partner because my time is limited.
It's a wealth preservation.
Yeah. And oftentimes, literally my wife and I were doing the math the other day. If we were to sell every single one of our single family rentals and put like $100,000 into dozens and dozens and dozens of syndications. Number one, I think the return would be higher. Number two, the headache would be less. Number three, the diversification would be a lot more.
Right.
So like right now, as we sit here, I'm invested in over 1,500 multifamily doors, mainly in Texas. But my commercial investments are outside of the state of Texas. I'm invested in some debt funds in the private lending space. So it's very interesting to hear you say that. What made you decide to start investing as an LP?
Just what you said. So it's funny that you said that, because literally yesterday I make a post, social post on the Facebook, and I ask audience if they would like to find out how to turn $100,000 in 6.2 million in 25 years, because I did the math, and it blew my mind. Only if I knew back when I started the business, instead of buying this stupid store, I could have invested. Right now, you would have talked to a deca-millionaire, right? But I mean, it's exactly what you just said.
Well, so let me break that down for the audience, because what he's talking about is an equity multiple, right?
Correct.
Because so many times we have $100,000 and we go earn 8% on it, or we go earn 5 or 6% on it. Compounded interest. Whereas, or we buy a house and that house sits there and we gain equity over time. But if you're not leveraging that back into something bigger, if you're not pulling it out, selling it, reinvesting, then your rate of growth slows. Correct. So what you're talking about, I already know, you said 25 years. The typical kind of syndication has about a 20% IRR, which means you double your money about every 5 years.
Correct. So,
right?
Right. So my predictions was to at the minimum, you only double. You don't go over, right?
In 5 years.
Right.
Right. So I even knew the math before you said. So you take 1 to 2 and 5, and 200 to 400 and 10.
400 to 8, and 8 to 1.6, and 1.6 to 3.2, and yeah.
That's ultimately the Warren Buffett example I used at the Scale and Escape.
Exactly.
Right? Because he was compounding on a much bigger number from the start.
Exactly. Sorry to disturb you. We're talking about $100,000. Now think about if you just add this up, or let's say you got 2-3 rentals, right? And you leverage this debt every 5 to 10 years, and you do more and more and more. Come on, man.
People need to understand the power of compounded interest, and I believe the power of compounded time, right? So when you were a janitor, when you were a framer, when you were a limo driver and a nutrition salesperson, you didn't have time.
Resume.
Yeah, right? But you didn't have time to work on making your money grow. And I tell people all the time, I was taught by my parents, who I love, to work with my hands for money. And I'm trying to teach my children how to make their money go work for them.
Bingo. That's exactly my point. That's what this is contagious.
Right.
Once you know, you never go back.
What's the duty you said we have to our family? We have, as men who have now conquered those first hurdles, we have a duty to try to make sure our children get to skip those hurdles.
Absolutely.
And learn a different way.
Absolutely.
But we don't want to teach laziness.
No, we don't.
But we want to teach a different thought, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And teach others along the way. Because, there's many people around us that they have no idea, right? And they watch you. They see you. They watch you, what are you doing? Where are you going? If you're going to fail, and if you're going to fail, right? But if you don't, they start to be more curious. Oh, what are you doing?
So very interesting. You talked about the land of opportunity being America, and the old cliche. But that mindset of abundance that you're just talking about, right? So nobody ever talked about America to an immigrant. It's the land of opportunity if you're lucky, right? Like they just say it's the land of opportunity,
right?
Because which is really very interesting. I've never thought of it this way. I think that's what brings people like you and Gonzalo, who was on the show, and Pam, who was on the show. Those are the immigrants that have been on the show, first generation immigrants that have been on the show, that you guys come here, you're told there's no limits. It's opportunity, it's abundance. So I think that this country attracts people with abundance, and that's why immigrants are so successful here. I know some struggle, but how much has a mindset of abundance been important to you?
Oh, a lot. It's everything. I think that I'm the one in the family that breaking the trajectory, right? And that's what drives me even farther, because I mean, just to coming into with that kind of mindset that, you know, it'll be me who's going to be a first millionaire, right? It'll be my kids that's gonna be like a decamillionaire or whatever.
Right.
It's just you know, the fire within me.
And you talked earlier about don't listen to your family trying to drag you down or talk you down. Could you share a little bit about that?
So it really depends, right? From where I come from, my family was really supportive every step of the way, right? My mom, my brother, my wife, they were supportive to a certain point, right? Still doubts here and there, but supportive. But I heard story here and there that, you know, the families and the friends, it's what prevent people to go that next step, to risk some here and there, because we have to risk it. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, there's nothing without the risk.
Right.
So
that's good stuff. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back for the Money Minutes, some rapid fire, and wrap up. So stick around. We'll be right back.
REI Inc. is a monthly business publication for real estate investors, covering all types of real estate investments and strategies. It is the most comprehensive real estate investment publication on the market. All of the articles are written by the top leaders in the industry, so investors are assured of always getting the best information possible. Each month, REI Inc. also profiles the top companies in the industry and provides insights and data into key regional markets. Along with their sister platforms, the REI Referral Network and Highest Invest, real estate investors have exclusive access to off-market investment opportunities and national acquisition and disposition initiatives. To learn more, visit www.rei-inc.com, where you can also access the REI Referral Network. Also, be sure and visit www.highest-and-vest.com to view the latest exclusive off-market assets with near immediate acceptance decisions and closing strategies. You can also email marketing@rei-referralnetwork.com to request more information.
Welcome back to Uncontested Investing. I'm still here with crazy Krzysztof. Krzysztof, it's time for the Money Minute, and I know you're going to knock this out of the park. Imagine there's someone out there that is struggling. Maybe it's a young immigrant that just had to become a janitor or had to become a limo driver after they tried their first business, or even it's just anyone that their first business failed. And just imagine this is the only, I get chills, imagine what you're about to say. Like literally, I'm looking for it. Imagine this is the only 60 seconds of advice this person's going to get all month. Like this is it. They're going to count on you to motivate them and keep them going. You ready?
I think I am.
Go.
All right, so again, never give up, guys. It cannot be worse than it already is, right? Never give up. There's always another day. There's always another chance. So just get up. It's like a box, right? You get knocked out. You just have to get up. You just have to get up and you just have to throw these punches. If you have to close the eyes, if you have to crunch your teeth, just do it. But keep moving forward. Don't ever give up. Be consistent with what you do. Plan your next step. Plan ahead. Don't do stupid moves. Don't wish. Don't just go don't go to sleep wishing that tomorrow is gonna be better and if that somebody's gonna just magically drop you $100,000 check to your mailbox, because it ain't gonna happen. You need to work hard for it. That's why you came here. And even if your business fail, even if something happened in your life, that's just God testing you. That's it. That's all it is. The God is testing you if you got power, if you got willingness to get up and move forward. So just do it. Don't hesitate. Don't complain. There's no politics, no interest rates, no inflation. It's all you. It's all in you. Just go and do it.
One of my favorite parts about me is I didn't even graduate high school on time, right? I had bad grades.
I graduated as a baker.
And I joined the Marine Corps because I wasn't going anywhere, and it's always been about action. And I think if more entrepreneurs would focus on the action required to correct the current situation, right? Versus, oh my gosh, here's the current situation. I love what you just said. I want to get into some rapid. are you mainly buying multifamily now, or is there still some single family?
So I am buying multifamily, and I am just getting myself slightly back into wholesaling because I want to fix my cash flow.
Wholesaling multifamily or wholesaling?
Single family.
And the multifamily that you're buying, is that mainly in the greater Atlanta area?
Funny that you ask. No, it's not.
Where is it?
It's in Ohio, and it's in West Virginia.
And what led you there?
Good opportunities. I mean, good prices, rise up markets. So we did our research. We got good relationships with the brokers. So I mean, that's why we're there.
And what size units are you looking? What size buildings are you looking at?
Right. So I mean, we're trying to be between anywhere from 30 to 60 and up. Anything like 5 million and up, we find out that it's much sweeter to get finance from the bank rather than 5 million and down, because they don't look at you as much as they look at the portfolio, the DSCR and all that stuff. So.
And where do you think you'll be 5 years from now?
Up there, flying out of here with my jet.
Okay, up there. You don't mean in heaven. I thought. No. Is there a new revelation where like?
No, like up the hill. Like I mean, I'm exploding. I mean, I almost said I think I'm going to be. I am going to have a $10,000 under my belt.
Okay. So my question is, what is the biggest challenge that you face in your daily business?
Consistency, man. I'm still working on it. I'm struggling every day, and well, maybe not every day, but sometimes you got like roller coaster, right, up and down, and you get burned out, like with everything else, right? So you just have to re-spark yourself somehow. That's why I'm attending many summits and going for some retreats and here and there, just so I can just get that fire, again from within me. Because I mean, you get burned out. So that consistency, I'm still working on.
Looking back, what's the dumbest thing you've ever done in business?
I didn't educate myself enough. I just jump in it. Somebody told me, hey, this is good. Okay, cool. That's all I need to know.
And what's the best deal you ever did?
So I did a sub 2 where I put 0 down, and I collected 6 figures.
I love it, right? Advice for investors with their families, business, getting them involved?
I would hate to say it, but don't listen to your wife if your gut tells you to do so. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, if your gut tells you that you should do it, then just do it. Don't put your wife or spouse or girlfriend or fiance on the side and leave her in the dark, but explain her why, right? I mean, you guys gonna have to be on the same page, eventually, at least. But yeah, just fun.
Yeah. So we won't even say wife or fiance. We'll just say significant other or partner in life or in business. But like you said earlier in the show, you have to be willing to risk it.
Absolutely, 100%.
But if you can't, I think the biggest thing entrepreneurs need to know is if you can't clearly articulate the risk and explain it to your partner, then maybe you haven't thought the risk out enough.
That's
right. Like, because what I found with my wife, who is the only reason I still have any money, because I'm happy to risk it all, right? Like I'm all in, and don't worry, if I lose it, I can make more.
Me and you both.
But what I found is if I explain it enough to her on why I'm risking what I'm risking, she may not agree with it
at the moment,
but she's okay with it.
Right.
Right? Because you never put all your principal on one bet, right? But if I'm, I'm going to put 200 grand down on this thing and I'm going to do this, she may not agree with it, but if it's that respect of running it by her, explaining it, right, that, or making sure that money comes from what we in our business, we call it the risk bucket. I give Jennifer almost all the money, and then I keep a risk bucket. So the risk bucket, I don't tell her what I'm doing with it. Typically, it grows exponentially, but sometimes, it shrinks exponentially. But it's the risk bucket, right? Like it's
what you do.
It's all there to be lost or quadrupled, right? But the other, right, the investment thesis part, that's not slowly actually, it's compounding and growing and multiplying and very low risk. So we're almost out of time. If someone's listening and they want to connect with you, how can they find you?
So I'm on Facebook, not as a Krzysztof, but Chris, Chirs, and with Warchol. or LinkedIn, Krzysztof Warchol. Now on the LinkedIn, I'm under Krzysztof, which is KRZYSZTOF
And if you're listening, it'll be in the show notes. If you're watching, it will be on the screen. As we wrap up, any parting thoughts or parting shots?
Again, I'm going to keep on repeating myself. Be consistent, guys. Never give up. Just follow your guts. If you need to risk it, be disciplined, right? Research the market, do your homework before you jump into it and do it. So, yeah, good luck, guys. And reach out to me if you need any help, any questions. Whatever I can help you with, it's free.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here as I wrap up. Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
Before the show, you said this is your first one.
It is.
And so it's just another example of what you just said. You risked it. You flew to Dallas. Had to be some nerves. I want to tell you, you did a great job.
So I was watching you behind the scenes for a little bit. I was like, holy crap, this guy have it set up like, wow. It's like a TV show or something. I was nervous.
You did a great job. Emilio, the producer's back over there clapping for you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I learned every time I get to sit across from the table. If you're out there listening, just know if you're not challenging yourself, if you're not educating yourself, if you're not networking, you don't get to meet people like Krzysztof. You don't get to meet people like me. And as I say every week when we close, remember your network is your net worth. And today you've been growing both. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Uncontested Investing. Questions about today's episode or the podcast? Email podcast@rcncapital.com and make sure to follow REI Inc. magazine on LinkedIn and Facebook and RCN Capital on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. See you all next time.